So, in maintaining a romantic relationship, it starts off and it seems easy because you have chemicals that are overriding your reason to some degree. But eventually, you're going to come to the point where you have a disagreement or you have a problem with the other person, and especially difficult are the ones where it's entirely their fault. And that is where it's really easy to get stuck in resenting them, and the communication won't happen because I'm totally sure it's the other person's fault. And so what has helped me is something called the 1%, 99% rule, where if I'm 100% sure it's your fault, if I just go, okay, it's 99% your fault and 1% my fault, and I go, what's my 1% that's contributing this relationship? Sure, you did this awful thing, but now I've been passive aggressive, or maybe I've been being late, or maybe I'm not showing up, or withholding something. As soon as I get my 1%, that little toe in the door, then I go, well, I guess maybe it's more like 80-20, and that's why it's not working out. Well, and then I keep talking through, well, I guess then I was doing that too, and then I was justified treating you badly because of this other thing, and now I guess it's like 60-40, and it just gives you an ability to take ownership, because as long as it's 100% their problem, you can't do anything about it. So you're powerless, and you're a victim or a martyr, but as long as you take even that little bit of responsibility, suddenly you have something that you can change and make a difference in your relationship, even if they don't take any responsibility for it. And if you take responsibility for your part, it's easier, they won't always, but it's easier for them to take responsibility for their part, because you're saying, you know what, I was wrong, and this is what I did, and I don't want to do that anymore, and I'm sorry. Then they can go, great, and go on about their life, or they can say, live off your example and go, well, you know, it's scary to admit that you're wrong, but you just laid out all these things that you're doing that were wrong. And then maybe they can open up and be vulnerable and say, you know what, I was doing this, and that really isn't helping us, and I was frustrated about this, and then you're communicating again.
You're talking about, you stepped into willingness there when you said you're willing to look at your part of the problem and how much ownership you want to take of your part of it. I've not met anyone who didn't have an effect on me when they take ownership for their part of it. I immediately drop in and go, oh yeah, there was this my part where I did this. I mean, hearing the other person say that and sense that they're feeling that allows me to recognize my part. Responsibility is a huge part of maintaining a relationship, particularly an intimate relationship, is owning our parts and then learning alongside our partner, and pay attention to connecting, you know, what it is that's connecting, because we're really here for the feeling of love, the feeling of connection, the feeling of belonging to each other. An example in my family was when my wife discovered that she would ask everybody about their day, and everybody would tell her about their day, but nobody would ask her about her day. And adding on top of that, getting to the point where she's understanding that in her life she has spent so much time, starting with her father, using up her energy to make sure he was okay, and then in her relationships using up her energy to make sure the boyfriend was okay or the husband was okay, and not being heard. And when she brought that out with me, I completely got my responsibility in that, and yes, I had been doing that. And there was, I was genuinely in shame and remorse for recognizing I've been doing that my whole life. So we have a practice now, and I have a discipline, that when somebody asks me how I'm doing, as soon as I get done telling them how I'm doing, I ask them, how are you?